Rec League Podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell your haters. Available on Podbean, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Good Pods, Pocket Casts, Breaker, and Stitcher. At Rec League Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. At Rec League Pod on Twitter. Episode 140. Available now. Yo. Whether you watching this from Facebook, Twitter, click the link in my Instagram, or YouTube itself. What up, world? So I just watched Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. Obviously the third part of the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Is it a trilogy if it's one concise story? I think it's just the third part of the story. It is the 12th and final movie in the Tomorrowverse, which I ain't gonna get into no spiel when I'm trying to list off and show love to the cast. It stars the voices of like half of Hollywood, and I'm not gonna remember most of them. Jensen Ackles, Darren Criss, Aldous Hodge, Stanya Katic, Jimmy Simpson, Keisha Sharp, Corey Stoll, Katie Sackhoff, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Troy Baker, Meg Donnelly, Gideon Adlon, and Will Friedle, Zach Callison. I told you I forgot some. So massive cast. It's directed by Jeff Wamaster. He's directed all three of these movies and other movies in this universe. I want to say Justice League War World. I'm not positive what else. Part 3 is the DC heroes scrambling to save their multiverse. First of all, I've said this to myself internally, like internal monologue. I cannot believe I've watched Part 1 3 times this year. I like it less every time I watch it. This high note, Part 3 is the best of these three movies. But these three movies feel like their own individual movies that just so happen to be sort of related to the same thing. This doesn't feel like one fluid story. And I feel like that can be said for most of this universe. This might be more of a Tomorrowverse rant than it is a Crisis on Infinite Earths 3 review. This is what I was finna say during the cast at the very top. I feel like, because you can tell by the spine art on the Blu-rays and 4Ks and all of that, when they started the Tomorrowverse, first they did Batman Son of the Dragon as part of this whole design where the spines were going to spell out like DC Universe. Son of the Dragon shouldn't have been included because it's its own standalone movie, but when these Infinite Earths movies came out, they bailed on this spine art, so it's like collectors like myself, it says DC Una, and they bailed like on the N or the I or some shit. And the spine of Part 1 is the Flash, the spine of Part 2 is Batman, the spine of Part 3 is Superman. Basically, whoever the central person in the poster is. Sidebar, the posters are the best thing about these three movies. All three of these posters go hard. But James Gunn came in and runs DC now, and he put his foot down. He runs all, him and I'm never gonna remember his partner. He's produced a gang of DC shit in the past. I'm gonna blank on his name because I never looked it up for this video, and it's on the tip of my fucking tongue too. But he came in and he said, we're doing movies, we're doing TV, we're doing animation, we're doing video games. If it's DC, it is all a part of the same universe. So I feel like whoever was like in charge of the Tomorrowverse had to drop these three movies way too early, way before they wanted to, in order to end this universe the way they wanted to. Cause I don't like the writing for these three movies. Like, unless I'm paying half attention, or I'm not falling asleep, but I don't know which characters are from which Earths and which characters we've been with in Man of Tomorrow, Justice Society, The Long Halloween, Beware My Power, Legion of Superheroes. Like, I thought I knew which Supergirl was Supergirl until part 2. And then I swear it felt like there was a massive thing going on in part 1 that they bailed on in 2. And the massive thing going on in part 2 that they bailed on in part 3. And then it just felt like a mess. And it's going to, I'm fucking telling you, the Arrowverse did this shit like 3 or 4 years ago on TV, where the entire Arrowverse was supposed to put all of DC, movies, TV, all of DC into one universe. And then the next season of like Stargirl or Superman and Lois is on another Earth. It's just ass backwards, and there's no plan moving forward and shit. And then I feel like they did it like one other time, but they're going like like Crisis Part 3, the Crisis movies have to be like the end of everything DC animation. And then I highly doubt it's Watchmen. I think Watchmen Chapter 1 and 2 is going to be its own singular thing. And it's going to be a banger. My hopes are so high. And then I'm recording and publishing this the weekend right before Comic-Con. Either Comic-Con or Warner Brothers does their own Comic-Con maybe. That's like, we're in the next 3 months of getting whatever animated releases come out next year. January-ish. Watchmen 2 will be January, bet that. And then is these 3 movies, honestly, as much sense as it doesn't make, Creature Commando should not be a DC Max TV show. It should be an animated movie, because it's just like Guardians of the Galaxy 10 years ago. Like, nobody knew who that shit was, and James Gunn and Marvel just got lucky that the movie knocked it out of the park. I'm not excited for no fucking Creature Commandos. And like, I have not heard anybody say that they are. I talk to a lot of nerds. But the animation in part 3 is probably the longest rant I've ever went on in any review. Crisis Part 3, the animation is cool, the voice acting is good. They kind of tinker with multiple styles of animation, which is very dope. There's a lot of Easter eggs, and that's why it felt like the Arrowverse thing for one specific scene toward the end. And it hurt my heart. As a 90s kid, it hurt my heart. I don't overly love these 3 movies. Like, if you know me, you know that I'm in the middle of a DC animation binge. From Superman, Doomsday, all the way to the end of the Tomorrowverse. But man, these 3 movies are just so okay. I'm not watching these 3 movies again. Like, these count as my entries in this binge. This is not just crisis, prep, and review and shit. I don't know when the next time I'll watch these 3 movies is. Whew. Yeah. That's it, man. These movies are okay. Like, there was so much potential for this to be epic. And it just felt just shy. Like, there are very cool ideas and concepts. And that's why I'm saying 3 is the best one, because of stuff that they did. And maybe because I'm not familiar with the literal source material. So with all that being said, man, I will say that in my opinion, Justice League on Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3 is almost dope. I just can't get it to dope. I didn't get any of these three movies to dope. This universe started with potential, man. Like, I love Man of Tomorrow. I love Justice Society, Long Halloween. Somewhere between Green Lantern, Beware My Power, and Legion of Superheroes, it started to fizzle out. And then War World was so boring. And then these movies, I'm telling you, these three movies are just okay. So have you seen Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3? What you think about it, man? Positive, negative, somewhere in between. Let me know. I got to watch and review Twisters last weekend. The weekend before that, I watched and reviewed Fly Me to the Moon. Check those out. Upcoming this weekend, Deadpool and Wolverine. Hopefully, I'm starting to get excited. 3 days away, I'm starting to get excited. And then next weekend, I want to watch and review Trap, the new M. Night Shyamalan release. Episode 140, Rec League Podcast. We just discussed Amblin Entertainment. Fun conversation, man. That studio has given us so many classics. Be on the lookout for all of that, man. Like, subscribe, comment. Find me where you find me, man. Don't know where to find me. Watch these credits. Peace.